Okay. Everyone, welcome back to Breslov Efrat here at Shira David. It's Erev Shabbos, Parshas Vayetze. And, we're learning our Likutey Halachos. We're in Hilchos Birchos HaShachar. We're up to Halacha Gimel, letter Lamed. All right, and again, our learning is for the well-being of our soldiers and the return of all of our captives. All of them. Okay, without these shenanigans, right?
At the same time.
Yeah. Well, it'd be nice if, they get the guy, we have very smart guys out there, so they'll figure out where they're coming from, and then maybe they'll just go in there and just get them all out.
Well, what they said, they're not all in one place.
Who said?
The liars.
Even Biden said you shouldn't believe them. You can't believe Hamas, so what? Anyway, but it's all Me'ez Hashem. That's what we really have to remember, right? Everything going on is really Me'ez Hashem. It's all from Hashem. And if we remember that, it helps us get by. Because it's not these people making the decisions, it's really the Rabbeinu Shalom, and it's ultimately what he wants. So it's upon us to keep davening and to do what we can do. So we're going to learn now. Okay, so we're learning this amazing concept of we're pretty much in the story of the exchanged children, right? That's really what this is all about. There's all these lessons, and we were learning yesterday the beauty of the karbonos, right? Saying the karbonos, right? And the karbonos gives us the ability then to sing and say the psuke de zimmer, right? Right? Remember that, everyone, right? Amazing, right? Because I was able to be mevarer to clarify the ruach behema from the ruach adam from the ruach behema, right? And by doing that, I can then sing. Okay. Now we're going to discuss. We spoke about yesterday also the lower part of our neshama is Yaakov Avinu, right? Right. So then today we're going to learn now a little bit about David and Yaakov. Right? It's amazing that we didn't really talk too much about Yaakov Avinu. Right? We certainly didn't speak about Rachel and Leah, but today we will.
They were exchanged.
Right? No, but wait a second. Right in this week's parsha. Right? Unbelievable, right? How Hashem gave us this present. We can learn about the parsha within our regular limud. Erev Shabbos, Parshas Vayetze. Fascinating. Matana me Hashem. Okay. V'zeh b'chinas ma shekol ha'avos hayu royei behemas. All of the avos, right? Abraham Avinu was a shepherd. Yitzchak Avinu was a shepherd, right? Yaakov Avinu was a shepherd. All the Shvatim, they were shepherds, right? Moshe Rabbeinu was a
David.
He's the Raya Mehemna. He's the faithful shepherd, right? Moshe Rabbeinu is the we're going to get to that. Yeah. David HaMelech. Anyone of importance that was a leader in Klal Yisrael started out as being first a shepherd. Isn't that fascinating? They didn't go to Harvard, right? They didn't go to Yale, right?
So how come this profession hasn't become so popular?
I think I'll become a shepherd right now.
You want to be a shepherd? Okay, good.
Would it help me, you think?
I don't know. Let's see. Now let's understand why they were roya behaviors, because we can really see where Rav Noson's going with this, because we were talking about yesterday about the animals, right? What were the animals? The sins. Mm-hmm. Fixing the sins. So Klal Yisrael in general we're known as the sheep. We're known as the sheep, right? Right? They say that, what? Yeah, Tzayin Kachim, right? Tzayin Kachim. We say that in the shyness, right? On the Shana Rabbah, we talk about Tzayin Kachim, the holy sheep. Yeah, Tzayin Kachim. How are you doing? Yeah. Very good. No, because and that's really and why we like sheep, because sheep need to be herded, right? They need to be herded, and because one of them he starts going the wrong way, so they have to bring him back in, right? And that's really what the tzaddikim do with us. We get fablunged a little bit. We go off the path, so they come and reel us back in. And it's really why we're compared to sheep, and then why the tzaddikim are the shepherds. All right? Hakol b'tshvil levor hachilav shu bechinas ta'aruvais v'chilav ruach adam b'ruach behema. It's all to help us to get out of that animal mentality, right? That mentality that I have to do things on that whim, to do things on that impulse. I got to get out of that. And that's really what the tzaddikim help us, right? Like Rabbi Nachman taught us all about this idea of the thoughts, right? This idea that I can only have one thought in my mind, and if one thought's coming to disturb me, I could change the thought. Give us all these tools to help us keep us away from the animalistic things, and we can be more people, to make decisions, to be thinking people. Okay, v'gam v'zeh b'bechinas David HaMelech shehoye roya b'emes. And David HaMelech, we know, he was out. He was his Yishai's shepherd. The other brothers didn't do that, right? They were big scholars, right? His other brothers. Right, they were big scholars, right? And because they were such big scholars, they thought they were going to be the king, right? Shmuel HaNavi came to Yishai, and he said that one of your sons is going to be the next king. So Yishai got his sons out. Huh? Oh, here's my oldest son here. No, that's not him. And he went through all the list. He went through all them. No, these are not the right one. They said, you have to have another son. Oh, yeah, he's the one out there in the field. But we thought maybe he's not really even legit. We don't know. And,
the redhead.
Yeah, the redhead, yeah. Right. They thought he was like Esau, right? They thought he was Esau. He liked blood. Right? They thought it was like Esau, right? Yeah. But David HaMelech, so he brings David HaMelech to Shmuel HaNavi, and Shmuel said, he's the one. And he anointed him right away. Right? Could you imagine their faces? Could you imagine Yishai's face? Could you imagine Yishai's face? Right? The father. When all of his other sons were rejected, and this other son that he always, all the time he thought was... he put him on the side.
In 1 second, it went from my son the mamzer to my son the king.
Amazing, right? Amazing.
Pretty big leap.
Amazing. Mamish. You ever think of that? It's fascinating. From the father's perspective, how he thought all these other kids were great, and this one's no good. Then he sees his whole perspective was upside down. His whole perspective was wrong.
It's true of many of us.
Mm-hmm. What's that?
Our whole perspective being wrong.
No, but I'm just saying.
No,
and wait a second. Well, let's remember something. The Gemara says that Yishai was one of the few people that never sinned. He's on the list with Binyamin, right? He's on the list of people that never sinned. He's recorded.
He could still be wrong about something. But
no, but I'm just you understand. I want you to realize how great this person was. How great this person was. But yet he still had his thinking was still off on this fact.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. No, just when you see where this goes. Okay. Ksibbe. Me'ach hevioi lirois beyakov amoi. So it's talking about, this is in Tehillim, and there's a pasuk in Tehillim. And it's talking about he was the shepherd for his father, right? That's what David HaMelech was the shepherd for his father. But he refers to Lirois B'Yakov, right? It talks about, he uses the word Yaakov here, talking about Yaakov. Right, so if Nassim says, we can talk about Yaakov, wait a second here. Let's talk about Yaakov for a second. Here we go.
So David was an exchanged child in his mind.
No, he wasn't exchanged in his mind.
He was
in Yishai's mind. Yeah. He was the real Ben HaMelech, and he was exchanged for the other brothers. Right. Interesting, right?
It's just...
No. Rav Nassim he said that this story is really the story of all time.
All time, yeah.
And you can plug it into all time.
Could you exchange me and you?
Oh, no. Okay.
I want your learning.
Okay. So learn.
Okay.
Ki David haya oisek bazeh beyoser. David HaMelech was so busy in this. He was so busy with the sheep. He was so busy with the sheep. Right? You have to be a compassionate person to work with the sheep, right? Because they're going, you have to bring them back in and so on. It's hard.
Passionate or patient?
Patient and compassionate. You right to be nice to them, right? To be nice to the
And
sheep.
you have to learn how to do a slingshot too.
Yeah, he did that too. Levar ruach ha'adam e ruach ha'behema, because that's what he was working on. He was working on this clarification, the ruach adam from the ruach ha'behema. That's what he was working on. Levar bechinas ben hamelech uben hashivcha. Right, to make that exchange, right, the exchange children. He was working on that rectification. That's what he was working on when he was shepherding the sheep. Therefore, David HaMelech merited to have the kingdom of all time, not just the kingdom, but the kingdom of all time, right? Because we know Melech Mashiach is going to be the king Li'olam, right? And Melech Mashiach comes from David HaMelech. Therefore, he did it in a very, very lofty, holy way. It wasn't just a job to him. He understood each one of the sheep. He understood where, and he had a relationship, so to say, with each sheep. He understood. That's how a tzaddik has a relationship with each one of his students. It's the same idea. And through that, he was able to work carefully and diligently, very diligently, to clarify the Ruach Adam from the Ruach HaBehema. True bechinas beira ben melech ben shifra val kain ayadei ze daika zachal mlucha bechinas me'acha alei seviu lirais b'Yaakov amay. Unbelievable idea. Why David HaMelech was the shepherd? To understand now, we can really understand pretty good now why all of the avos, Moshe Rabbeinu, right, and all of the Shvatim also. They were also shepherds, right? Everybody was a shepherd, right? Unbelievable. They weren't landowners, they were shepherds, right? Amazing, right?
No lawyers.
They weren't lawyers, right? But that's what makes great leaders, right? Maybe that's why we don't have any good leaders today. And maybe that's why we don't have any leaders. Okay. Now, Yaakov roya behemos b'shvil levar nishmas zivugay. So Yaakov Avinu was also a shepherd, right? He had to work 7 years, right? He had to work 7 years. Decided he agreed to work for Lavan for 7 years. Is that amazing? Lavan was his uncle, right? You ever think of that? Lavan was Yaakov's uncle.
Right, I don't have an uncle like that.
Right, he was his uncle. He wasn't a stranger. Right, he was it's his mother's brother. Right. It's his uncle. Right? And now he comes to his uncle, I want to marry your daughter. Oh, we have to work for 7 years. You have to go. What a rascal, right?
Where you get the saying, cry uncle.
Nishpas zivug, because he wanted to be mevar the neshama from his zivug, his maid, right? He wanted to have that zivug. So we know that by Lavan, he wasn't a very good guy, right? And his wife wasn't necessarily a good guy, a good lady either, right? They weren't necessarily good people, right? However, they still had 2 great children, right? Rachel and Leah, right? Leah and Rachel, right? Great children, right?
And they had a great sister, too.
Yeah, from Besuel.
Sarah.
No, Rivka.
Oh, Rivka. Sarah was...
Sarah came from a different family.
Rivka. Yeah.
Well, this was Avram's side.
Right.
Yeah. Kamaishe Kasa Vayava Yisrael Be'isha. Yisrael worked for the Isha. He wanted to get his wife, the woman. He worked for the woman. K'may shekosov, evadecha sheva shanim berochel bitcha haketana. Look at the words Yaakov Avinu says. Look at this. He realized who he was dealing with, right? He realized who he was dealing with. So he tells Lavan, okay, I'll work for you for 7 years, but for what? For who? Oh, for Rachel. But not just any Rachel, right? Not just any Rachel. Bitcha, your daughter. So don't find me another Rachel in the street. You'll find me a different Rachel. Here, you take her. No, your daughter. But which one of your daughters? Your younger one. Why? Because maybe he'll change the name. Maybe he'll change the name of Leah to Rachel. So he clarifies so clearly. You see how clever he was. But yet he still got cheated, right?
By Rachel.
No, he didn't get cheated by Rachel. He got cheated by Lavan. It wasn't Rachel's idea.
Before Yaakov even got there, Yaakov went and he traded the Bechorah with Esau.
Yeah.
That can also be a problem, you know. They're looking and say, all right, we're going to trade the Bechorah between Leah and Rachel.
Yeah.
You know,
No. Actually, the Medrash says that Yaakov Avinu was angry at Leah the next morning, and he said to her, like, "What is this? What did you do this to me for?" So Leah said to him, "Hey, wait a second. Didn't you change the bechorah with your brother? Right? Didn't you exchange?" Yeah, but it's an amazing thing also. The Medrash also says that Yaakov Avinu knew he had a Ruach HaKodesh that Leah was pregnant. That he impregnated Leah that night, on their wedding night. He knew that.
Okay, yeah.
So then he was thinking, because really, if you think about it, that was the whole kedushin that he had was a toyus. The whole thing was a mistake. It was a mekach toyus. It was a mistake. The whole thing was a mistake. He didn't. That was not his intention, right? If I want to sell you something, right, and I tell you I'm going to sell you this cookie, right, and this cookie is made from this, and that, and I give you a different cookie, right? Now that's not what you wanted, right? Simply, you wanted this one. So I gave it to you. That's not a good transaction, right? Because I gave you something different than you wanted, right? So now this next morning he wakes up and he realizes, wait a second, he sees it's Leah. Well, hold on a second. He could have thrown her right out. He didn't have to keep her in the house.
Right.
He could have thrown her out. This was not, I didn't agree to this. But he thought, Yaakov Avinu was thinking, again, he was the shepherd. He was thinking, wait a second. She's pregnant. It means if I throw her out, what's going to be with my child? You hear this? He wanted Rachel. We all know that. He wanted Rachel, right? But he's thinking, if I let Leah go and I just cancel the whole thing, so what's going to be with this child? So rather what he does is he keeps her. He keeps Leah. But not only does he keep Leah and he doesn't send her away, to live in another house somewhere. He lives with her as a wife for the sake of the child. You hear that? See that? How great Yaakov Avinu was? He was selfless. It wasn't what he wanted. He wanted Rachel. He didn't want Leah. But the fact that Leah was pregnant, this was all part of Hashem's plan, right? That Leah had 6 children with him, right? Rachel Imenu barely had 2, right? Right.
But didn't Rachel give her the code so that she could do it?
Yeah.
So she got the secret handshake. So Rachel was involved with it also.
But she did that only to protect her sister, to not embarrass her sister. Right?
Yeah.
And Yaakov Avinu was angry at her for that. We spoke about that yesterday, right? He was angry that she did that. Right? He gave the codes because he knew he was dealing with a Hamas. He knew that, right? He knew what he was dealing with. Okay, so look, then let's go on. Now, ki ikar achizas ha'avdos shehu zumas ha'nachash. Neches ba'isha b'yaiser. The whole thing of the nachash, right? The snake and this whole exchange and all of this stuff is really more attached to the women. Why? It's very simple. Ki Nachash hitil zuma b'chava. Because the Nachash placed his impurity in Chava. So of course the women are more connected to this exchange because they got infected by the Nachash.
Was there a child from that?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I never heard.
Cain was a child. Cain was
No, Cain was a child from Cain, and Hevel were children from Adam.
yeah, but I've heard that one of them was really like from the Nachash.
Oh, the one that got killed then.
No,
Yeah,
it would have been Cain.
The other one.
Cain, Hevel got killed.
Right.
All right, either way, but that's okay. Val Cain, Mivarchin Baboiker, Shaloya Sani Oved, Shaloya Sani Isha. So that's why every morning we make this blessing, these two blessings, right? Right? Shaloya Sani Oved, Shaloya Sani Isha. I praise Hashem that today you didn't make me a slave. So I don't have to have that slave mentality today.
What's the connection? I'm not getting why that blessing came from this event. Who is the slave?
Who? What do you mean?
In this,
In the Nachash, the snake, right? The snake places impurity into Chava. And because of that whole thing, that with the eating of the tree came about this whole thing of exchange.
right.
That's where all the exchange came about. Right? Before we had the good and the bad. Good was good, bad was bad. No convoluting the two, right? We said that this is the melech, he's the servant, and he's not the servant is not the melech, and so on, right?
But this says, I will work for you for 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter.
Yeah.
This is because slavery, the filth of the serpent, is attached mainly to the woman.
Yes. I'm going to work for you.
He was being a slave for 7 years.
I'm going to work for you for 7 years to redeem the slave in Rachel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shalaya Sani. So every morning we make the blessing, Shalaya Sani Aved, Shalaya Sani Isha. Kizuma Sa'avdus Mucha La'isha B'yaisa. Because this whole thing of the servitude is more connected to women. Okay? I'm sorry if anyone's, these show, the women movements today. This is the truth. I'm sorry. This is what it is. So Avdus is really connected more to the women. All right? Visham Tzrichin Beir Yoiser, and there you need a lot of clarification. You need to work on this. Because in the way the women are, they need this nurturing more to get them out of that idea of the servitude and to realize that they're free. Because they really feel that they're in servitude. Because again, the Chava with the Nachash. And therefore we had the Gezerah on the Isha, there was the decree on the woman, V'hu Yimshel Bach, that he will control you. V'hu Yimshel Bach. The man can control the woman. See that?
How come that doesn't go in practice today?
Because we have to get out of it because we're in the slave mentality.
We've been exchanged.
Yeah, we've been when you work on changing the exchange, then you can take control.
Okay.
Otherwise, she's in control.
Right.
Okay, there we go. Shu bechinas avdus shetzricha lasais lebala. She has to see this. She has to serve her husband.
Don't tell your wife.
No, well, we have to.
Hey, listen, I didn't write this. If the women don't like this, they can go complain to Reb Nosson. Right? This is the truth. I don't care what the Western society and the thing and all of this thing with the. Okay, fine. The women's lib. Is that what they call it? What do they call that? Women's lib?
But really, the men allowed the women to make the exchange.
Yeah.
We as men allowed the exchange.
Ki hamelachos sha'eved oisa l'rabbi. The same way the servant does what the master wants, so too the women are supposed to be like that with their husbands. But that doesn't mean we have to, but again, we have to earn that. It has to be earned. It's not like I come home, okay, I'm the boss. No, I have to earn that. In other words, by me working on myself, that can come about.
But this says Hashem did not make me slaves. I shouldn't have to work on it for 7 years to get that to happen.
Didn't make you a slave?
Right. Yaakov worked as a slave for 7 years to get his wife.
He worked as a shepherd for 7 years.
Not as a slave?
No, he was a shepherd.
I thought this says,
Like a manager.
He was a shepherd. He was taking care of the flock.
but this says, I will work for you for 7 years, for Rachel, your younger daughter.
Yeah. Where does it say he's a slave?
This is because slavery, the filth of the servant, is attached to the woman.
Yeah. Okay. So that's attached to the woman, not attached to Yaakov. Yaakov wasn't the slave. He never was a slave.
Okay, for some reason, I was thinking.
He was never a slave.
Okay.
He was working for 7 years.
Okay.
And that's
So
how
he
he
had to earn
earned.
that.
What?
So that's how he earned.
That's how he earned, yeah.
So that's why we have to earn it too.
We have to earn it as well. Exactly. Now you got it.
I've been working for 30 years, so.
Well, now you have to start to really work.
Really?
Balkain, Yaakov, bebechinas ha'shayat tzarech la'amayt shnei masa shiftei ka. Therefore, we know Yaakov with his zivug, with his wives, he had to bring up the 12 shvatim, right? The shiftei ka, right? The 12 tribes of Israel, right? Lemita shlema. And how did he do that? Because he had to complete, his mita was complete. He was pure. Yaakov Avinu was pure. He never did anything. He never looked at anything that he was pure. Yaakov did everything with the pure intentions. He didn't do anything with animalistic desires. Everything was calculated. Like we said, he realized that Leah was pregnant. I'm not letting you go now. You have to stay. Again, think about that. He didn't want that. But he was so controlled. He controlled himself so well that it didn't matter what he wanted. Oh, there's going to be a child, and I have to do the right thing for that child. How many people do that today? Right? No, really. Right? To make the decision to do for the child like that, even though it wasn't what he wanted. It's amazing. Al kein hochruk lahapil atzmai laavdos lias roya behemas eitz Lavan. And if we had to work, and he worked, it was like he was a slave almost. It was almost like that, but he was working for something.
Yeah.
A slave doesn't work for anything. Slaves are a slave. They don't get. He's getting paid. He's taking the wife, right?
Now he says,
Yeah. What do you mean?
That he actually had to force himself to become an Eved, no? What does it mean?
Become a what?
Yeah, he wanted to be, let's say, he wanted to be a Roya Tzoin, but he had to force himself to work for this Russia. Think about it. Who is he going to work for? He wanted to work for Hashem. He's Hashem's servant. Right? He's a servant to Hashem. Now I got to work for this Lavan guy. But he was doing it for the intention. He's working for Lavan, but he's only working for Lavan through that to work for Hashem. Because he wants that woman, he wants Rachel, and he knows that Rachel is going to bring up the shiftei ka, which is what he's charged to do. Ki ein hadin nimtak ela b'sharshai. How do you like that? The din is you can only fix the problem at the source. You got to go to the source to fix the problem. You can't fix the symptom, right? If a person's sick, you can treat the symptom, or you can find the problem, the source, and get rid of it and fix the problem, right? But you were a dentist, right? So a guy has a toothache, right? So he could take a Tylenol, and he could take a codeine, and he could take a Percocet, all these different things, but he's just treating the symptom. He may have an infection going on down there. You got to treat it at the source, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he can keep taking painkillers to an extent, but sooner or later, the painkillers aren't going to work, right?
Right, of course, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another lesson to be learned here.
Yeah, what's that?
You can do work when you can see a payoff in the future for yourself.
Yeah.
And you may not enjoy the work that you're doing.
Right, that's how we are with it when we serve Hashem, right? So we don't understand what we're doing necessarily, right? But we know we have a goal, right? We know we have a goal, and we know every day we're accomplishing. Every day we're accomplishing, right? We know that, right? Every day we're adding and adding.
Yeah.
And we have to believe that every day we're accomplishing. Even though we don't always see where we're going.
And even though it feels like work.
It could feel like work, but we're working to change that feeling of work, to make it more something that I enjoy to do, right? That we said, right? That's how we want to clarify the guf so much so that the guf doesn't have it's not contradictory to what the neshama wants, right? That's really what we're trying to do, all right? Bal kein Omar evdecha sheva shanim berachel bitcha katana. Again, we're focusing on these. It's fascinating how we get to this point today discussing this week's parsha. Is that amazing? We're in a general limud, right? Right? And then we're coming today, we're learning about Yaakov and Vinu, is discussion that he had with Lavan. Fascinating. Because through his service, that he was doing it in a very lofty way. We know that, right? Yaakov Avinu was very, very kind to the sheep. Yaakov Avinu did it in the most holy way that he could. He was able to subdue. He was able to clarify the good and subdue the bad, right? That's what Yaakov Avinu was able to do. He was able to subdue the bad. V'yivor ruach ha'adam ruach ha'beima yedei she'yir roya etzlai. V'chol zeh b'shvil levar me'lavan harami nishmas zivuga yishu nishmas Rachel. All in order to clarify and get Rachel out of that impurity of Lavan. And that whole mindset of hers growing up in that house. Kidei lahamid shiftei ka, in order to bring up the shvatim, the shiftei ka. Umechma sheyoda shelavan hu ramai gadol. But since Yaakov Avinu knew that Lavan was a real con artist, he knew he was a con artist, right? He knew that. And he knew that he was running. He was the manager of the Heichal Tamur, that room of exchange. Lavan. He was the manager. He was running it. No.
But this says something,
What?
I have to understand it. It says, Jacob was supposed to establish the 12 tribes of Israel. He had to descend into slavery and shepherd Lavan's animals. So it's saying he was a slave. A judgment can only be ameliorated at the source. So you're saying what is the source? And it says he was in slavery.
He said, why? Because Rachel, we said that the slavery is attached to the women, right?
Right.
More to the women. So he had to go into that idea to nip it in the bud right there. So he had to be part of that. So that's why he agreed to this whole idea. That's why he agreed to the work for Lavan for the 7 years. No good? Why?
No. So in other words, he had to go into slavery for 7 years and do that work to fix it at the source.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay, now it says, Ikka haramos shall kol hara'amim shechashudin lahachlif al kein kofel Yaakov tenai. And therefore Yaakov Avinu made that double the double, what's the word I could use for tonight? The double condition. Oh, thank you. V'omar, Evdecha sheva shonim berachel bitcha ketana. And that's why he said, I'll work for you, Evdecha. Right? Evdecha means I'll work is also the same word as Eved, right?
Right.
I'll work, but it's also Eved, right? So was he a slave? Actually, I don't know. But he was a slave. He's working. I'm going to work for you for 7 years. Birachel bitcha haketana. K'mayshe perish Rashi, shediktak imay kol kach. Rashi says that he was so critical, right?
Actually, a triple condition.
What's the third?
We talked about that before.
Right.
It's not double, it's triple.
Why? The name Rachel,
The name Rachel,
bitcha, and the ketana. Okay. Okay, but when you read it, Sheva Shanim Birachel, for Rachel, right? Bitcha Ketana. Well, if you didn't define Rachel, then no, Rachel was defining what he want. That was the who he wanted to define who it was. So maybe you had to say the name to know who you want to define. Ulai, right? All right. B'chol zeh choshash Yaakov machmas sheyoda shadayin lo nitaken chet Adam Arishon, because he knew that the chet of Adam Arishon was not fixed yet.
Yeah.
So that problem of the Heichal Tamura was still there. The room of exchange was still around. He knew about that. Shemisham achizas Heichal Tamura, that's the chamber of exchange. Shezeh gorim nishmas ha'avais ve'imois hayu ma'arvim bein v'shoyim ka'ela shehem Lavan. And that's why the great people had to come from these other souls, from these other parents. Right? Because again, the Yetzer Hara, the Satan, doesn't want these souls to be released. He doesn't want them to, now if they be released, the good soul, the good people, right? We had, let's say for example, we had Shem ve'Ever, right? They had the yeshiva, right, at that time, right? Mm-hmm. These were scholars, right? These were good people, right? So how come Rachel and Leah couldn't be born to Shem ve'Ever? Lavan? This guy? Think about it, right? To this guy? The trickster of all of them? No, because the Sitra Achar, he's okay with letting these big neshamas out to these other parents, because it's unlikely for that neshama to ever develop to become what it's supposed to become. Right? If the neshama is born into a good family and they have a good upbringing, so they can nurture that child in a way that the child can develop in a good way. But if you take that lofty neshama and you put it into a family that they're doing everything contrary to the right thing, it is not a good chance that neshama will shine, right?
And we also have to, if he gave it to Shem and Eber, then wouldn't have been anything to fix.
I understand, but that's what we're discussing the whole thing, right? We're
Yeah.
discussing why, now, they have to be born to Lavan. Why was Rivka born to Besuel? Rivka was born to Besuel, right? Not a good guy either. He wasn't a good guy either. Right? He wasn't also a good guy.
You know, these people have a shidduch profile.
Yeah. They did what?
They didn't have a shidduch profile.
They didn't have one, right? They wouldn't have done well today. Right, in today's shidduch world, they went there. Oh, your father's been Lavan, Besuel? No.
Well, really,
You see how superficial everything is today, right?
yeah.
It's very
And
superficial.
it's also the theme of we have to fix the whole world. All of these are
I
examples of fixing.
understand.
I'm trying to absorb it myself to be able to retain it.
Yada sheLavan hu Ramai beYoser. He knew that Lavan was the trickster. He knew he was the joker. He knew that. V'nechas b'yoyse b'chinas eichol t'muris, and he knew he was so involved and entangled in the chamber of exchange. He understood that. Yaakov knew what he was dealing with. Unbelievable. He knew what he was dealing with. And that was his uncle. Think about it. This was his uncle he's talking about.
Families.
Family, right? Fascinating.
Sick.
And therefore he was so suspect. He was very, very, very suspect on this exchange. That since Lavan is part of the chamber of exchange, he's the CEO, he's the manager of the chamber. So he was very, very suspect that Lavan's going to make a switch on him now. You understand? Look at it. You see, now we're understanding really what was Yaakov Avinu really doing. If you don't understand this, why is Yaakov Avinu making these conditions? Bitcha hat ketana. Why does he have to say these words? Why does he need it? But now we're learning the deeper meaning. He understood exactly who Lavan was. He knew he was controlling the chamber of exchange. And because of that, he knew that he was going to pull a fast one on him.
Well, but Yaakov created his own problem then.
Why did he create his problem?
Because he saw Lavan in a way that he was going to trick him, and in the end, he did. It's how we see things is we somehow cause it to happen.
Okay. Yes, in some level, yes, but Yaakov Avinu was doing this because he was trying to avoid that.
But he didn't avoid it.
But he was trying to?
I know he's trying to, but that's my
so
point.
you're like the Monday morning quarterback, right?
No, I'm just saying, there's a belief
Is that what they say, the Monday morning quarterback?
Yeah, I think that I really believe that how we see things, if I see the gods in the world,
Can I ask you a question? If you knew you were going to deal with somebody that was dishonest, and you had to deal with this dishonest person, would you think to yourself, oh, he's really a great guy?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No. I'm just defining what you're saying now.
Okay.
Okay, you have to do business now with somebody.
Yeah.
And you know the guy is a thief. So are you going to just say, well, I'm going to think it's all going to be good. I'm going to think it's going to be good. And it's all going to be good.
I didn't say think.
But that's what you just said. He could have judged him in a good way. So then since he thought that he was going to cheat him, therefore he got cheated. How would you deal with
I'm
it?
going to have to think about that.
How would you deal with it? You know the guy's going to cheat you. You're dealing in a business deal. The guy's going to cheat you. So you're going to say, I'm not going to protect myself. Everything's going to go just well for me. Because I believe it's going to go well for me.
Is he Jewish?
Was Lavan Jewish? No. All right, you understand what's going on here? Yeah. So why are you questioning what Yaakov Avinu is doing? He's doing what he can to protect himself.
Yeah.
He's doing what he can. Again, he wasn't dealing with an upstanding citizen here. He wasn't dealing with a righteous person.
Right.
If he was, he wouldn't have had to make these conditions.
Right.
Balkin kafel tonight. Imay b'Yosef Amar Evdecha b'Rachel Bitcha Katana Kamei Sheperish Rashi Sham. Now he says, now look at this. Ba'afal Pichein Labesoiv. Even still in the end. Loi Hayol Sharei Rimo. In the end, he still did trick him. It didn't work. He tried, but it didn't work.
Right.
Ki kol kach is gabe harama shel Lavan shu bechinas eichalei temuras. Because Lavan was so powerful, his dishonesty was so powerful because he was a part of that Heichal Temurah, the chamber of exchange.
Yeah. So today's
Ad Cherima es Yaakov, until he was able to even fool Yaakov Avinu. V'chilaf loy Leah berachel, he switched Leah for Rachel. Shechilaf ze gora mamachloikis shebein hashvatim v'chalukas malchus beis David u'mechiras Yosef. Now let's understand this. Let's understand where this really what really was going on here. Let's say Lavan would not have exchanged Leah for Rachel, and Yaakov Avinu would have married Rachel the way it was supposed to be done. So who would have been the first child? Would it came from Rachel. That means Yosef would have been the Bechor.
Maybe
We-
Rachel would have had 12 children, it could be.
Who knows? We don't know. We will never know that, right? We'll never know that. But we do know that Rachel's child was Yosef. So if he would have married Rachel, he would have had Yosef. Yosef would have been the first, the Bechor of the Mishpacha. No questions. The problem was that Reuven was the Bechor from Leah. And all the other brothers, right? Levi, Yehuda, right? They were all good guys. These were good people, right? So they thought, who is this guy Yosef? He comes in the end and he says he's the ruler. Right?
Oh, so that's how it caused the.
But do you see it? Do you see it now?
Right.
No, Yosef says he's the melech, he's the guy in charge. But they're saying, who are you? How could you be in charge? We're the ones. Us, not you. That's how the whole problem came about.
See, at the end of the day, Reuven didn't get anything.
No.
Even though Yosef became the king in the tribe, Yehuda got the Malchus.
Levi got the Gona, yeah. And the Levi, and the Levium, right?
What did Reuven do?
And Yisachar and Zvulun, right? They got to be the what do you call the learners of Torah. Zvulun got to be the business people, right? And what did Reuben didn't get much, no. Yeah. All right, but you understand, look how beautiful Rav Nosson is defining this, right? It's such a beautiful idea, right? Really to understand deeper meaning, what was going on the story, right?
He says the split of David's kingdom. Is that when the 10 tribes split off?
They split. No, the Yehuda. We had the Malchus of Yehuda, and then this, and that was the whole. That was then the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed because of that, right? Ay. Okay. Let's just he'll just say it inside now. If he would have married Rachel first. I just explained to you, I will look at inside, okay? So then Yosef would have been really the firstborn. They wouldn't have had jealousy to him. They wouldn't have felt anything because he would be rightfully the Bechor. They would have all seen his greatness and his truthful and how truthful he was. But because of this chiluf and Leah was instead of Rachel, and the other brothers were born first, so because of that exchange, he got exchanged also. Wow. Nizkanenu boy al sha'oviv me chavevoy umekarvoy b'yosef. They were all upset that Yaakov Avinu was so close and Yosef was so dear to Yaakov Avinu. They were so jealous of that. We know that, right? V'gor machlokes kol kach ad shemachru la'eved, until they sold him to be a slave. Look at this. They sold Yosef, the real Melech, they sold him to be an actual slave. No, look at the way the story, it's fascinating. Come on, Rasifka, is this amazing?
Exchange for exchange for exchange.
And then we had to go, the whole thing transpired, the way it worked out, that we had to all go down to Mitzrayim. And we were the right. We are royalty, but we had to go down to Mitzrayim, and we had to be exchanged as slaves in Egypt.
What tribe was David a part of?
What? Yehuda.
Okay.
Yeah. And therefore, that's why the Malchus Beis David got divided.
What do you mean that's why they got divided? I'm not getting it.
Because of the machlokes.
Between the brothers.
Because of the brothers, yeah. It kept going. It's going to keep going.
So the 10
Yeah,
tribes
please,
against the
David,
2.
take coffee, yeah. Right, so the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed. Vigolinu me'atzenu. and we got thrown out of our land. Umuva b'svarim, mashe gorim Lavan arami al yedei achilav. And we see what Lavan caused through this exchange. You see how bad Lavan, it says that when we read the Haggadah, right, we say that Lavan, he wanted to uproot us completely, right?
Right.
He wanted to uproot, now we understand what he was trying to do.
Amalek.
He was such a wicked person, Lavan. And it all happened through this chilaf. So we just think it was cute that he switched the children, but this was
evil.
the deepest evil. He was trying to affect it, cause machlokes in Klal Yisrael.
Wow.
And that's what Hashem doesn't want. He wants us to have the unity. He doesn't want us to have machlokes. That's why you give the blessing every day. Peace.
Peace.
Hashem wants peace. That's what it's all about.
And he'll cause a war if we don't have peace.
Right? Now it says, Vaklal. Kol hatzari, look at what he says now. Look at this. We'll finish with this. Vaklal. Shekol hatzari sheyisrael nimshachim b'chinas achilav shalechol yatemuras. All of the time that we experienced, all through the years, till today, is all because of this exchange. Everything. We're always exchanged. Every wicked leader exchanges us and he says he's the leader and we are the slave. Where we are the real leader and he's the slave. It happened every time and time again. Shu bechinas achilas shel ben hamelech, shu bechinas kol achilufim v'ashinuyim. This is why all the exchanges and all of the changes that go on in the world. Sheyesh b'chol dar v'dar. That's in every single generation.
So how do we fix this?
Right, watch this. Ad sheyavai Mashiach tzidkenu. Until Mashiach tzidkenu is going to come, the Messiah will arrive. Bimheira v'yameinu, speedily in our days. V'yavoir hakol, and he'll clarify everything, and he'll put everyone in their place. He'll put everyone in their place and let them all understand. They'll all understand and they'll all see the truth.
It's upside down.
V'chol echad al mekayma yavai b'shalom. Amen. Amen. V'chol echad al mekayma. What does that mean? V'chol echad al mekayma, at his place. That means we're talking now even about these captives. They all should come back. Al mekayma. They should all come back to their places, They should all come back to the places. Yavai b'shalom. It should come in peace. Amen. We should mama see this. And it's such a beautiful way to end the week, right? With our learning, right? That we really learned the deeper meaning of what this idea was with Rachel, Leah, Yaakov Avinu, has dealing with Lavan. And anyone want to say anything? Anyone want to, any comments or questions?
Do we have to wait for the Mashiach? That's
We
the
have to
only way
wait for
the
Mashiach.
The only way we can fix it?
That's what Nassim just said.
saying.
Yeah, that's what he said.
So all this stuff about if everybody keeps Shabbat...
No, but that'll bring Mashiach. That'll bring
That's what we
Mashiach.
can do.
That'll bring the Mashiach.
So we got to do what we can do to bring Mashiach.
Bring the Mashiach. Yes, everyone. Okay.